Well, today I'm gonna talk about little Fred, my nephew. A lot of y'all who not from the Toledo area or the South Side or Belmont Avenue, y'all probably know Fred through my music, and I talk about him a lot. But I'm gonna give you some background on Fred. Okay, Fred was my nephew. That's my sister Peach's son. Fred was born when I was 12 years old. And so my sister was like 16, 17 when she had Fred. So we was both living in our mother roof. So when Fred was born, it wasn't a father-son relationship what it ended up growing up to be, or it wasn't an uncle-nephew relationship like what it grew to be. Fred was more like my little brother because I was still a kid. And so I was 12, but it's kind of, I was still a kid. And Fred dad got killed by the police when my sister was 4 months pregnant with little Fred. So he never met his dad. And Fred granddad was murdered at an early age too. So all three generations of Fred got killed. Fred Willis, which is my nephew Fred granddad. Then my nephew dad, Fred Carter, got killed at 19. And then my nephew Fred ended up getting killed at 20. And so that's the lineage where my nephew come from, And so my sister was like a mother to me. My sister used to read to me. My sister used to babysit me while my mom would be at the racetrack all the time. And you would think my sister was a lot older than me, but she was only 5 years older than me. But my sister was grown at 12. My sister was selling dope already, had guns, was fucking, you know what I'm saying? And so my sister was grown. My sister was grown up very young. And like I loved my sister so much, And so I thought I was kind of jealous when I knew my sister was having a baby because I was her baby, you feel me? But when Fred was born, that was love at first sight. Fred was like that was love at first sight. I was too young for him to be my son, or I was too young to be an uncle, but Fred was like my little brother, my puppy, my my toy, everything. That was my everything. And so, I had Fred very young. I taught Fred how to walk. I taught Fred how to ride a bike. I taught Fred, even though he ended up growing up to be a great boxer, that's when he started going with Albert Bell and his dad, who became his friend when he was like 6 and 7, 8, 9. Whatever, but I was the one who Fred in his early years had a boxing glove, taught him how to play basketball, everything. So Fred was like, everywhere I went, Fred was with me. He was in my videos at 2, 3, 4, 5 years old. He was my hype man. He was our ball boy at Libby. Like Fred was always in our life. And so, Fred was funny because I used to play games with Fred and Quincy and Day Day. So we used to play this game called Make Me Laugh. And I was a bad influence. I had them cussing young and shit, telling jokes and all that. And so whoever made me laugh first get $1. I used to have a stack of ones, 20 ones and shit. Like whoever made me laugh get $1. And Fred was the funniest. And so Fred developed a sense of humor that all his friends knew him to have. And Fred had a lot of new friends who wasn't around, like Fred old friends, like the Little T's and the Alberts and just the ones who've been around forever. I can't even say Quincy because Quincy's more like Fred's brother. But the ones who got around me after Fred got killed, they was like, man, you act just like Fred. No, Fred act like me. But but once Fred got older, like I was the naive uncle after a while. I thought Fred was a fucking angel and shit. And so everything Fred got accused of doing when he was start turning like 8, 9, 10, I didn't believe it. Cause I thought my nephew was the greatest kid in the world. But his mama knew Fred was full of shit. And so I'm like, damn, how you knew Fred was lying, Peachy? She said he's a lying Libra. Anything a Libra say is a fucking lie. And so Peachy had moved to Taylor, Michigan. And no, before that, we was living in Stone Mountain. I had got out of jail, and so Fred and Peachy was living in Stone Mountain, right off the east side of Atlanta. And so I went down there to stay with them for a little bit before my probation officer found out I was in Atlanta. And so the washer and dryer room had got broke in. Somebody stole all the quarters and shit. Fred got caught. And Peachy was like, she knew Fred did it. Fred told me this lie, I really believed him. So now I'm outside with Fred and his friends playing basketball, and they tell a story like, Fred, man, it was crazy how you broke in the machine. I'm like, Fred, like, shut up, shut up. And I'm like, you little lying motherfucker. I forgot not to believe nothing your ass say, because Fred could just convince me. You know, we all think the best of our children. You know, we don't really know our kids like that. Just like we don't know our parents like that. And so, you know, we put on the best behavior for our parents a lot of times. Our parents think high of us, you know. And so 21 Savage, the rapper, you know, the famous rapper from Atlanta, he had released this video on Clubhouse, and he was talking about this kid. Now, 21 Savage and Fred around the same age, right? And so I remember we stayed in Stone Mountain. It was a whole bunch of dirty ass kids, bro, who used to be, Fred was spoiled. Fred was spoiled. A lot of y'all probably don't even know that, because Fred, you would think Fred was a fucking orphan, how he was running around savage and shit. But Fred was a very spoiled kid. Mama bought him everything. Uncle Cal bought him everything. I did what I could for him. E bought him shit. So Fred was very spoiled. My Uncle Perry, everybody loved Fred. So 21 Savage had made this video on Clubhouse. He was like, man, you remember that little nigga Fred? Man, that nigga was bad as fuck. He was the baddest nigga in school and everything. That nigga was a GD already. Talking about Belmont Ave at 10 or 11. You know what I'm saying? Because he brought the Belmont shit to there. And, you know, gangs is kind of newer to Atlanta, probably in the last 15, 20 years. But, you know, Toledo was built on gangs. And so Fred bringing that shit there. And he was like, yeah, that little nigga Fred was spoiled, man. That nigga was bad as fuck. That nigga had people follow him already. I wonder what Fred at. And it fucked me up when 21 Savage was saying that, because I'm like, damn, man, my nephew got killed, bro. Fred dead. You know, but we ended up going back to Toledo, you know. I had got Fred in basketball more. He started boxing. He was very good. Then Peachy moved to Detroit. And, you know, my sister hard to deal with, you know. This nigga Fred then ran away. This nigga walked back to Toledo. This nigga got on the highway and walked back to Toledo. And I knew that was a mistake when my mama opened the door, because Fred didn't want discipline. And my mama sure ain't gonna discipline you and shit. Me and my mama used to get into real fights about Fred, because I'm disciplining Fred. And my mama, don't touch him, he ain't your fucking son. Motherfucker, he is my son. I'm showing him right from wrong. Because I ain't have a curfew growing up from my mama. I never got whoopings, never punished me. I did exactly what the fuck I wanted to do. And, you know, and Fred was going down the same thing. So whenever I want to discipline Fred, I had to fight my mama. So after a while, I'm getting into it with my mama and shit. And so after a while, you be like, fuck it. You know, Fred playing us against each other. But, and so Fred is, you know, Fred's smoking now, but he hiding the shit from me and shit. So I ended up moving to Atlanta in 2005. I moved to College Park. And so the block been wanting Fred. I think, you know, a lot of people don't like me on Belmont. And so, and they looked at my relationship with Fred like, oh, we can't wait to corrupt this nigga and throw that shit in Prophet face. He think Fred gonna be something, you know what I'm saying? And cause I was kind of strict on Fred. And so when I left, they started giving Fred weed. They didn't turn my baby out. And so by the time I come back, Fred had lost cause. And now me and Fred, oh man, we button heads. We don't even like each other no more, because I'm looking at the potential that this kid had. Nigga, you ain't made it to high school. Fred just dumb to the motherfucker, bro. He talked dumb, he looked dumb, everything. Fred was so fucked up and was so fucking lazy. My mama destroyed Fred so much. This nigga Fred was so fucking lazy, he didn't want to go downstairs to the bathroom, bro. So it ain't no bathroom upstairs at my mama house. So this nigga Fred just pissing in motherfucking Gatorade jars, and they just everywhere. So I come back from Atlanta to go sleep in my old room. Fred in my old room. I wake up, and I guess Fred don't realize he grown. Nigga, you grown. Nigga, you jumping in the bed with me and shit. Like, wait, man, get your big ass away. Like, nigga, you sleep next to me and shit, slobbering all next to me. And so I'm like, Fred, like, what up, uncle? Like, you know, so it's still a baby, you know what I'm saying? This old notorious gangbanger Fred, who everybody following, and still Uncle Baby, laying, what up, you know what I'm saying? Laying on me and shit like a goddamn kid. But I roll up, oh shit, it's a fucking Gatorade bottle full of piss on the floor. I look up like, oh shit, Gatorade bottle full of piss right there. Everywhere, man, there's like 100 Gatorade bottles everywhere. I'm just like, man. I go downstairs like, Ma, what the fuck going on? She said, oh, you seen that piss? She said, I let it pile up because Fred be pissing on my roof and I don't want that shit on my roof. I said, this is some sick shit. So she go up there and clean this fucking room up. I said, man, get the fuck out of here, man. And so, you know, Fred was crazy, man. And so, you know, but I was hard on Fred. I was, you know, I was mad at Fred, how he turned out. I wanted to kill everybody. I wanted to kill my cousin, my fake homies, for they took pride in turning Fred out. So when I got back, boy Fred, Fred hit her, boy Fred hit her. Like, and they took pride, just seeing the demonic shit in their face that they turned my baby out. And that's what them niggas do. And a lot of them motherfuckers who got a little money, their kids ain't even allowed on Belmont and shit. But y'all take pride and ruin our kids who are originally from Belmont. And so, you know, I took that shit personal. So I ended up moving back to Belmont. I ended up coming back from Atlanta, and I ended up getting stabbed. And, you know, Fred had did some, I think they was doing income tax scams. They was getting $5,000 back then for some income tax scam shit. And so so after I got to the hospital, Fred like, boy, Uncle, I'm glad you ain't died. No, you ain't have a life insurance. I gonna have to spend my whole 5 bands. And I'm like, you little nigga, you happy because I live just so you ain't had to pay for the funeral? You know what I'm saying? And so Fred he grown now, you know what I'm saying? And so I gave up. I accepted Fred for who he was, and our relationship flourished even more. Like, it wasn't like he was just my nephew. He wasn't my son no more. Fred was my friend. It became like, because Fred was like 19 now, and like, we got our all-time close. And so you know, and like, everywhere you went, you heard Fred name. Fred done tore the club up. Fred done did this. Fred done did all the little niggas on Belmont following him. And so a year after I had got stabbed, you know, Fred ended up getting killed. You know, Fred ended up getting killed. And that was the most traumatic thing ever happened to me in my life, because it wasn't like I just lost my friend or my nephew. It was like I lost my child. I lost my real child, you know, and that's what took me so long to have kids, because I always felt like Fred was my kid. And I ain't had to have kids, and so that's what made me wait till I was so old to have Cedrion, you know. But yeah, but that's who little Fred was in a nutshell, man. That was my baby, bro. Like, that was my baby. Little Fred was my child. And you know, it drove me a little crazy when Fred got killed, because I did shit that I didn't think I was capable of doing behind his death. And, you know, but that's who little Fred is. I'm out.